While the power-hungry elites of the world are at it again, they just cannot get over the fact that what they wanted to complete in 2020 was never accomplished.
We need a great reset.
So they're at it again, hyping up fear of another pandemic, signing treaties between nations for a one world health force that no citizen of any of these nations voted for, by the way, and also spreading fear that a new strain of the 19 is here. And this one might be bad, folks. Better get your booster. So let's take a look at exactly what is going on here. WHO adopts a pandemic agreement after the chaos of the 19.
Members of the World Health Organization approved a treaty to avoid the mistakes of the COVID-19 pandemic in future global health crises. It will require countries to take steps to prepare for and respond to future pandemics, with the goal of making medical supplies more accessible across the globe. But there are still a few issues that have yet to be resolved, and the treaty won't go into force until they have been agreed upon. One item still on the table is the creation of a new pathogen access and benefit sharing system, in which countries share samples and data with drug makers in return for access to vaccines and medicine.
All the articles talking about this treaty are making a special point to say that the WHO will not play any part in national policies like lockdowns. But of course, just imagine multiple nations all together, all agreeing for some certain action. Of course, they would use that force to say, well, the WHO supports a lockdown, so we think we should do it, just like they did and the National Institute of Health did during 2020. This treaty will supposedly take effect once 60 different countries ratify it. The US has abstained from voting since Trump has withdrawn from the WHO. But despite this, the agreement supposedly marks a significant step for global health security. The day before the WHO signed that treaty, another unelected global force, the UN, put out a video saying, "Are we ready for the next pandemic?"
Pandemic was a stark reminder to the world that we are not prepared. We're not prepared as a global community. There were times when there was inequitable access to therapeutics, to diagnostics. There was inequitable access to the health technologies required to produce them. And this was a call for the world, for leaders, that we need to do better next time around. We need a more coordinated approach. The WHO Pandemic Agreement will bring countries together to fight common threats through a coordinated approach. The aim is to have tools in place, to have a framework in place so that we don't have to live those moments over again if a pandemic were to strike. It is a means to ensure equitable access to vaccines, to treatments, and to diagnostics when and where they are needed the most. International solidarity is important because no country can do it alone. In today's interconnected world, we need to work together to better detect, to prevent, to prepare for, and to respond to outbreaks, to epidemics, and to pandemics. So countries have to work together to get this done. It is a testament to the strength of multilateralism, bringing countries together around a common approach for common threats.
So what's going to be the next pandemic? Well, as of this very moment, they're pushing hard on the bird flu.
Bird flu has been circling the globe for decades. So the discovery in 2024 that the deadly pathogen had jumped from a wild bird to a cow came as a shock to virus watchers. Now, in just over a year, the virus has ripped through America's dairy herds and poultry flocks. It has jumped to other mammals, including humans. 70 Americans have caught the virus. One has died. Long feared as a possible pandemic, doctors and veterinarians fighting the virus told us Biden's government was slow to act, while the Trump administration has now laid off more than 100 key scientists, all as the virus keeps spreading. One of your colleagues told us that if this should spiral into a pandemic, this flu could make it look like a walk in the park.
I agree.
You're scaring me.
I'm scared about it myself. I don't sleep very much these days, Bill.
This 60 Minutes report, which was full of biased opinions about how the Trump administration should be more involved with global health organizations, had the audacity to end with a lady saying this.
Colorado vet Kay Russo and others told us they feel stymied. The current distrust of science and vaccines is hurting their fight to try to prevent the next pandemic.
I would scorch the earth if this ends up in children deaths. And so as a mother, as a veterinarian, as a scientist, I'm just asking you, trust us.
I cannot believe anyone involved with the medical field could say with a straight face, just trust us, after the Mount Everest of lies that took place in 2020. Just for a short recap, here's a few videos exposing some of those lies.
I saw a credible estimate of something like 17 million deaths globally from this technology. So
17 million deaths from the vax?
Well, when you scale up to billions, it's not hard to reach a number like that with a technology this dangerous.
This case prompted deeper investigation that the spike protein's ability to induce fibrin that's resistant to breakdown, activate platelets irreversibly, and damage the inside of our vessels that run to every part of our body and every organ, explained his symptoms and those of thousands more since. I have treated approximately 4,000 patients suffering from long vaccine injury or both. Many were young and previously healthy. For those with injury, trust in public institutions has been shattered. Many were coerced under the August 2021 federal mandates, despite legitimate hesitations due to prior infection or personal health risks. They knew their body better than the agencies. Now disabled, they are dismissed or ignored by the systems that mandated their compliance.
If it may have been a lab, may have been nature, we're supposed to look forward, then why did Dr. Fauci work so hard for just one of those theories?
What do you say to that? I'm almost have to laugh at that, Neil. I mean, that's totally bizarre. First of all, I wasn't leaning totally strongly one way or the other. Flashback. What I do feel strongly about is that this was a spillover from an animal species to a human. Strongly suggesting that, in fact, it was a natural occurrence. Very strongly. Strongly indicating that it was a natural spillover. Strongly points to this being a natural occurrence. Pointing much more strongly. Pretty strong. Towards a natural occurrence. Very, very strongly. Strongly favors a natural occurrence. I wasn't leaning totally strongly one way or the other. It's very, very strongly leaning towards this could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated. Lied.
In Galatians chapter 5 and Revelation chapter 9, 18 and 21, it warns us and condemns those who use Pharmarmacia, the same word that we now derive pharmacy and pharmacist from. In English, the word is translated as sorcery, witchcraft, or sorcerer. Revelation 18:23 is quite interesting as we hear of Babylon's downfall, which is linked to this Pharmarmacia. For by their sorceries were all the nations deceived. This word probably refers to drug abuse and the practices of using substances in connection with idolatry, deceit, and control. So I want to be clear that this word does not say that every form of medicine that is created in a lab is some form of evil sorcery. In ancient Greco-Roman culture, Pharmarmacia referred to both medicinal drugs and portions used in occult rituals. Writings and archaeology show these were common in pagan religious practices, often linked to invoking spiritual powers. In the New Testament, Pharmarmacia appears to mainly refer to its role in deceptive occult practices. Galatians 5:20 warns believers against it, and Revelation highlights how these sorceries mislead nations, symbolizing spiritual corruption. It's a little uncertain what exactly this Pharmarmacia in the times we're in will be or is, but I definitely say it's something that we should be in prayer about. So if the next pandemic doesn't turn out to be the bird flu, like many people and news organizations are saying, maybe a new strain of the 19 will pop up. Well, that's the news that's been coming out of China and the United States the past 2 days.
COVID-19 is haunting the world all over. A fresh subvariant of Omicron called NB181 has surfaced and is now making headlines across the globe. First noticed during a spike in cases in China, fueling hospital admissions across the country, the variant has now been detected in the United States through CDC's airport surveillance program. Chinese hospitals are now reporting a doubling of severely ill patients in just a month, going from 3.3% to 6.3%. In the US, it has already been found across states, including California, Washington, Ohio, Rhode Island, and Hawaii. The new variant's international spread is now confirmed. The CDC's airport screening program picked up cases in travelers from China, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam, France, Spain, and the Netherlands. Samples collected between April and May 2025 showed the virus had made its way to the US via international flyers. Community spread is already underway in several states across the US. Still, despite the spread, there's been no major surge in hospitalizations in the United States yet.
So if this is a new strain, what should we do to protect ourselves?
I'm just asking you trust us.
No, I'm definitely not going to be doing that, especially when all of the new information is coming out saying that they knew the dangers of the last poke and still kept that information from the people.
Explosive new report from a Senate Homeland Security Subcommittee has just been published. It accuses the federal government of failing to warn the American people and the world about potential side effects from the mRNA, which details in a brand new report how federal health agencies downplayed risks from the COVID-19 vaccine and failed to warn the American people, accusing the Biden administration of downplaying and delaying warning the public about the risks of myocarditis associated with the mRNA vaccine.
Prophecies in Revelation, the Gospels, and other scriptures tell us that bad sicknesses and pestilences will come upon the earth in the Great Tribulation, but we have no idea when that will be. So in between now and whenever that is, I think it's important that we don't blindly trust the people who habitually lied to us in the past, also to realize real events do take place in the earth, and we can go to the Lord in prayer for guidance in those situations. Because if you are a follower of the Lord Jesus, He loves you, wants to protect you, and guide you in all areas of your life. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust.